Hi, everybody. And today we're going to talk about developing a marketing strategy, a framework for success. My goal here is to give a high-level overview of the foundational pieces to building a marketing strategy, but then touch on some actionable insights and some things that you can take away from here and put right into motion. So I'm with Saturn Lounge. We're a full-service creative agency. I've been in the business for a little over 15 years now. My title at Saturn Lounge is VP of Marketing, and throughout my career, I've spent time in-house, I've spent time in agency world, I've spent time specializing in specific areas, and being a little bit more of a broader marketer. So, let's talk marketing. For many of you in the room, this might look something like your daily life, wearing a lot of different hats. If you're a small business owner, you're wearing the accountant, HR hat. You're probably at least wearing that sales and marketing hat. And there's a lot of different things to cover in your life. So the good news is that you don't need a large agency necessarily. You don't need 100 workers. When you deploy a strong strategy. So some strategies take time, some of those are more immediate. The question is, how do we eat the elephant? Our goal today is breaking down again those 7 foundational areas of a solid marketing strategy. We're going to talk about goals, objectives, understanding your target audience, performing competitive analysis, developing your own key messaging and value propositions, selecting those marketing channels, how we're budgeting and allocating resources to those marketing channels, and how we're measuring success. So, some of you may be asking yourself, why marketing? Today, we know that there are 100 different channels and 100 different touch points with any of your potential customers. We know that we're in a noisy, saturated market, and your strategy is what's going to separate you from the chaos. There are more places than ever for your audience to find you, which is great, but also where they may find your competition. So specifically to B2B, we know that 90% of B2B buyers are researching online before they're even picking up a phone or submitting a contact form. 70% of that buyer's journey is complete before they're talking to a salesperson. And we know that if your brand's not showing up authoritatively and building trust, you're not even in the running. So first we're going to talk about clarifying goals and objectives. This is truly the foundation for your entire strategy. Without clear, measurable goals, marketing is going to feel like more like a cost than an investment. And if you're working as an individual owner, it's definitely hard to spend that budget without a clear idea of what that return can be. And if you're answering to a owner or a CMO or a senior level executive, those are going to be the first questions they're asking as they're looking to allocate any kind of resources or budget to your function. So that solid marketing strategy has to be tied to business objectives so that we can have measurable outcomes and allow you to prove its value. So I'm going to introduce the SMART goal framework. Some of you may be familiar with this when it comes to peer review or employee reviews. We can take this same framework and ideology and apply it to all of your marketing and business decisions. So the first part of this framework is specific. The goal should be clearly defined and focused. If the goal is too vague, there's going to lead to ineffective execution and unclear expectations. So as you're working with senior leadership or as you're looking into yourself introspectively, if you don't have a clear idea of what those outcomes should be, you're never going to know if you hit that or not. If the goal's too broad, it's going to be hard to define whether you're succeeding or you're failing. So marketing teams tend to waste time if they don't know what they're trying to achieve. Measurable. So this should be tracked with numbers. If you can't track that progress, you don't know what's working and you don't know how to adjust. Marketing efforts should be data-driven. They shouldn't just be driven by gut feel alone. And this is going to be, for anyone working within a larger team, this is going to be the biggest piece that's helping you justify those marketing budgets. So it's going to prove those impacts on your business goals. So this is sometimes a difficult pill to swallow, but it needs to be realistic and it needs to be achievable. So understanding what resources you're utilizing and then looking at what some industry benchmarks are. So depending on the business category and the industry, those benchmarks are going to be on a wide spectrum. But we know that if the goal's too ambitious, you're going to have teams that are spinning their wheels. You're never going to feel like you're attaining. And if the goal's too easy, then it's not actually driving progress. This is like any goal you're setting in life, right? So these efforts should be challenging but realistic, and they should be rooted in what industry benchmarks are. So depending again on the business category, you may be looking at a pretty large variety of numbers. So in a majority of B2B businesses today, you can look at things like what are the average cost per clicks for Google Ads? $2.56. This is specific to the construction industry. Those conversion rates. So as we're bringing those people to your website, what's the rate of conversion? So that's 2 to 5%. And then email click-through rates, 3.3%. Again, this is something that specific to your business. There's a ton of resources. There are a ton of masterminds out there that are pulling all of this data together. And I urge you, as you're starting to build these goals out, to tie those to what those benchmarks are. Likely, depending on the source, you're going to see a fairly wide range, and depending on if it's a marketer or an executive or a salesperson that's writing the blog, you're going to see a pretty wide variety. So take all of that as a grain of salt and look at the trends. Relevance. So this should directly support your business objectives. This is really important in having those conversations with senior leadership, and it's really important as owner-operators of your business as well to make sure that any goal you're setting truly has a tie back to the objectives that you have as a business. So if the goal doesn't contribute to revenue or growth or brand reputation, it's going to be a waste of resources. We know that we need to improve market share. We know that we need to improve inbound leads. We know that we need to improve the bottom line. These are the words that are going to resonate with senior leadership and decision makers within your business. And these are items that you should be tying back to any decision that you make as a marketer. So marketing should directly support the company's business priorities, and really what that does is it ensures leadership sees it as that valuable investment and not just an expense. And it should have a clear deadline to track that progress. So these deadlines, again, you can tie back to the earlier things, should be realistic in their timing, considering the resources and the budget that you're able to put towards it. So if these goals don't have a timeline, they tend to get pushed aside, just like that laundry that you take on Tuesday and say, I'll fold this today. Saturday comes around and you haven't folded it yet. Time constraint adds urgency. So if you're distributing this out, if you have a team working with you, as you can set things to timeline, that adds some urgency. And then it just makes sure that you have that consistent progress tracking. So we want to force your teams to prioritize certain actions. And as you build out multiple layers of goals, we can help prioritize that in terms of what we need to accomplish first and what's a longer vision goal. So some weak examples of goals. We want more website traffic. We want better social media engagement. We want to rank #1 for everything related to IT. We want to double our subscribers. So these are weak for a number of different reasons. They're not specific enough. They don't have numbers to measure against. They don't have timelines. Some of these might be relevant, but we haven't done a good enough job of tying that back to a business objective. How can we strengthen these up? So we want to increase website traffic by 20%, there's a number, in a 6-month period, so there's a time frame. And how do we do that? We want to achieve this through SEO. We want to increase LinkedIn engagement by 25% in 3 months by posting 3 targeted posts a week. So it's really important to, again, make it clear, Make it, attribute numbers to it, have a timeline, and really understand how that can tie back to business objectives. Even if it's not a direct contributor to revenue, it's important to show senior leadership that path that you can take to the bottom line. Next, we'll move into understanding your target audience. So in today's market, and especially for small and medium-sized businesses, we know that every dollar counts. And if you don't have a clear audience, your marketing efforts tend to be scattered. So by understanding your target audiences a little better, you're able to reach the right people with the right message at the right time. We know that knowing your audience means that you're going to have not only better lead quality and more conversions, but that sales cycle can be shortened, it can be improved, you can look at larger deal sizes. When you're able to tailor your message to those specific pain points, it doesn't only mean they're going to be more likely to convert, at least from a marketing qualified lead perspective, but it means that those leads are going to be stronger, they have more potential to end in closed deals. As you're starting to educate those clients or those potential customers, we see those sales cycles tend to shorten. So what that means is happy salespeople, which is a fantastic thing. On a recent study from HubSpot, we saw that personalized audience-specific CTAs, and this is in the email marketing realm, but that can increase conversion rates by 202% compared to generic ads. So the bottom line is that a tailored message means a stronger brand. So how do we build a strong persona? First, we want to start with clear demographics. It means everything from job size or job title, role, their company size and type, all these items that you're going to find on LinkedIn, their annual revenue, maybe it's their annual income if you're B2C, what their experience level is, it may be geography. You may look at some of the more standard things as well, age, gender, and then for B2B specific, look at their industry segments. Where are they at in their career? What's their experience level? What does their team look like? And what kind of compliance or regulations do you have to deal with and consider? Then we look at a little bit more of the qualitative side to their persona, looking at their pain points. What's keeping them up at night? What are their biggest roadblocks? And what inefficiencies or frustrations do they experience? How can we turn that into understanding their buying motivation? So what's driving them to make a purchasing decision? We know that it's the three main things: cost, speed, and quality. Cost, efficiency, and dependability. But why would they switch from a competitor to you? And that competitor might not be, Joe down the street. It could be doing nothing, which is pretty common. And then why would they not buy? What are their objections? So, a lot of this ideology comes right from the sales playbook, understanding those objections and being able to handle them before they're brought up. And then research and communication, understanding where they're looking for information, what their trusted resources are, the best way to reach them, and then what their centers of influence within the business are. And then finally, their decision-making process. So is this the decision maker or is it a center of influence? What kind of objections do they have? What questions do they have that you might need to answer? And then understanding what that purchase journey looks like. How long is the purchase journey? How many steps throughout that journey do you take? And are they the same person from the start to the end of that journey as well? As you build this, as you build these personas, you're also building the foundation for your brand story and your messaging. So again, really key here is understanding how you solve their pain points and how you do it better than the competition. So as an example, as we look at a B2B project management software as a service company, we can tailor that messaging to small teams. Stop drowning in paperwork and manage your jobs in one simple app. as we expand out to larger marketing teams and larger organizations, that messaging is a little bit different, right? It's enterprise-grade job tracking to maximize your efficiency and guaranteeing compliance. So different buying groups have different things that are meaningful to them, and while your service or product might solve one simple problem, it's solving it differently for your different personas. So remember, good personas are more than just collections of these facts. It's a big picture. It's a living, breathing profile that's going to help you guide your messaging, your content, and all of your marketing strategy. If you're trying to market to everyone, you're marketing to no one. And realize that decision makers aren't going to consume all of their content the same way. That's from your different types of buying personas to the different stages in the buying process that they are, and can be platform specific as well. So your best marketing strategy is going to be rooted in solving the problems for your customers. So we can jump into competitive analysis from here. So what do you do when being good at what you do isn't enough? I was going to put a big picture of a bear here, but the age-old saying is you don't have to be able to outrun a bear, you just have to be able to outrun the person next to you. So really have an understanding of your competition. Who is your competition targeting? What services do they offer? How do they intersect and overlap with yours? And having an understanding of the pricing tier that these things are offered at, as well as the quality, or at least the perceived quality. What's their market share? What does their digital presence look like? Looking at everything from organic search to paid campaigns, as well as online reviews. And what do their customers say? So here's some tools and techniques to help you review the competition and cover these items. So first, Google search is a great way. Look at your top services and Google those, plus your location. If you're a local business, if you're more of a national business, you can drop that off. For example, outsourced IT in Milwaukee. I hope I don't have any IT people in here, maybe a few. So who's ranking first through fifth? Take those top 5, and that's your competition digitally, right? Then we can start to take tools like SEMrush and Ahrefs. There's a ton of competitive analysis tools from an SEO perspective. And you're going to be able to assess their websites and get a broader understanding of what other keywords they rank for. Just a note, my background, my depth of experience is in SEO, so I will avoid going too deep in the weeds from an SEO perspective, but if you do have questions, I could launch into like a 45-minute rant about how to tear apart your competition and understanding every tactic that they're deploying. So if you want to do that, find me after. But let's take a look at their website. So how are they talking about themselves? How are they talking about their services? Are they focusing on price, quality, or speed? And can you tell from their messaging who they're speaking to? Take a look at that user experience as well. Is it modern? Is it professional? I have a lot of conversations with manufacturers, CNC machining companies, steel, rod and bar suppliers, a lot of industrial companies. And one of the #1 things we do as we look at that ecosystem is look at their competition. These websites are from the like 1970s maybe. So it's a real simple move to upgrade your website, upgrade your user experience, just make things cleaner, simpler, easier to digest, and you can stand apart from the competition really, really quickly. What do their proof points, excuse me, what do their proof points look like? Do they go into detail on there? How are they doing that? Are they having video testimonials? Are they putting up Google reviews, or what are they doing to kind of put that social proof and that social validation? And then what are their call to actions? What's their first next step in the buying process? Is it as simple as getting in touch? Is it a RFP form? Is it something more tailored? And how can we learn from that and improve upon that? So customer reviews, we definitely want to look at Google reviews, Yelp, Angie, the Better Business Bureau. Look on Facebook if it's more of a consumer focused service. What are the complaints? So what are some things that you can capitalize on? How can you utilize that in your messaging? And what are the praises? So there are opportunities to look inwardly and improve your product or your service based on what your competitors' customers are saying about them and what makes them happy. Then we want to take a look at their social media. How are they engaging with their customers? How are their customers engaging with them? You can look within Facebook inside of the transparency tab to understand if they're running advertising campaigns. If they're running heavy ads, maybe it's time to consider different audiences or different platforms, or how can we tilt that messaging? Can we do this better and really differentiate ourselves? If they're not active, that's your blue ocean strategy opportunity to dominate that channel in the market space. And we'll touch on a few different ways we can leverage AI. AI is something that's changing, I think, every minute. So when I built this out, it's a lot of manual AI work. Every day new agents are being built so they can take some of this manual searching and manual inputs and start to consolidate that. But really some simple things you can do from a marketing qualified lead perspective, but it means that those leads are going to be stronger. They have more potential to end in closed deals. As you're starting to educate those clients or those potential customers, we see those sales cycles tend to shorten. So what that means is happy salespeople, which is a fantastic thing. On a recent study from HubSpot, we saw that personalized audience-specific CTAs, and this is in the email marketing realm, but that can increase conversion rates by 202% compared to generic ads. So the bottom line is that a tailored message means a stronger brand. So how do we build a strong persona? First, we want to start with clear demographics. It means everything from job size or job title, role, their company size and type, all these items that you're going to find on LinkedIn, their annual revenue, maybe it's their annual income if you're B2C, what their experience level is, it may be geography. You may look at some of the more standard things as well, age, gender, and then for B2B specific, look at their industry segments. Where are they at in their career? What's their experience level? What does their team look like? And what kind of compliance or adapt your product or service with? So truly your competitor weaknesses can be your biggest opportunity, especially if you have an area of true differentiation. Google your competitors and keep tabs on their strategies. So you can utilize social listening tools as like Hootsuite to see how to track your competitors and get an understanding of how they're engaging with their audience. So it's not about copying, it's about differentiating. So we truly want to understand those gaps in the marketplace. From there, we can start to move into developing your key messaging. So we truly want to stand out in a crowd. There's 3 core components that I'll cover in a key message framework here. First, what makes a good unique selling proposition? So the first thing you want to ask yourself is, does it truly differentiate you? If you can look down the street and find 4 competitors that also offer a turnkey solution, then this probably is not a differentiation point. It's a me too box check. Does it speak to your customers' pain points? A common formula we can build out here is we help our target audience achieve this pain point, this thing they really want to do by here's our unique approach, here's our unique differentiator. So as an example, for Saturn Lounge, we help marketing leaders move faster and smarter by delivering agency-grade creative, digital, and strategic support without the drag of managing multiple vendors. What does that say? We cover a wide variety of services. We do all of this in-house and at a super high level, and takes the pain of working with different vendors across the marketing spectrum. From there, we can start to really develop that core messaging framework. So we build that value proposition. For example, clear budgets, consistent results. We deliver exceptional work on time and on strategy, no surprises. We want that value proposition to be clear, simple, concise. We want it to be easily remembered. It should explain the key benefit of working with you, and it should tie that back directly to that USP. From there, we build out a branch of supporting messaging. So how are we doing this, and how do we validate that? Well, we talk about on-time delivery. We've got dedicated project managers that are keeping your timelines on track and your team out of the weeds. Transparent pricing, so there's no hidden fees, no surprises. Every project is scoped to scope, and there's clarity in that delivery. And then strategic impact. So we don't just make pretty things, we make pretty things that drive impact and results for your business. And then you have to back that up with proof points. So these can be case studies, they can be customer testimonials, certifications, awards. One of the most powerful things we see in the industry today is video testimonials. So getting your best and brightest customers on video and letting them tell your story and evangelize for you. Because you can say all of these really, really nice things about yourself, but when you've got a lot of friends that are there to back it up, it's a much stronger message. Now we can jump into channel selection. How do we deliver this message to your audience? And today, more than ever, there's no shortage of channels to choose from. So where do we start? First, we have to ask ourselves the questions that we've answered in some of these prior stages, right? Who's your ideal customer? Where are they going to look for information? How do they prefer to be contacted? And then what are your marketing? What are your business goals? Where's the competition and where aren't they? The first thing we have to consider, and maybe the most important sales channel for you, is going to be your website. This is your 24/7 sales rep. Your website doesn't take a day off. It doesn't have a sick day. It doesn't take a holiday. People can access your website at 2 in the morning, maybe. They can access it on weekends. They can access it on holidays at any point in time. This is where your prospects are making their decisions to get in touch with you. So in today's ecosystem, all roads are starting to lead to your website. There are exceptions to that rule, right? Local service businesses, maybe that digital presence is more on your Google My Business profile listing. So there are always exceptions to this, but particularly in more complex sales making decisions, that website is going to still be the hub for all of your business. So a few website must-haves. First, strong first impression. You've got 3 seconds to win over your customer and have them dig deeper. So that means that fast load times and a good user experience are paramount. There should be a mobile-friendly design. We know that even in B2B, a majority of your traffic is going to come through via your mobile device. So if it doesn't work, is hard to navigate, hard to read the content and get that information quickly, your users are going to bounce at a high rate. High-performing SEO content, strong messaging and storytelling, all very important. Those trust signals, those proof points that we talked about, incredibly important today. And then we want to make it easy and frankly brainless for your customers to flow into that conversion point. Now, that's typically going to be a contact form. Sometimes it might be a purchase point, but we can also talk about those secondary call to actions. Is it downloading a key resource? Anything that's getting them into your marketing funnel and marketing flow can be considered a call to action. Now let's talk about search, SEO, SEM, organic, paid. There's a lot of different ways we can refer to this. We know that almost 90% of people are searching online before choosing a contractor. We know this to be true for B2B, professional services. We're capturing high intent audiences on search. So if they're looking for a solution to a problem, what better stage in their journey to show up, right? And this is great for both B2B and B2C businesses. So organic search, SEO. This is a great channel for long-term traffic growth. Unlike paid ads, once you're ranking and as you can continue to invest and maintain that rank, SEO is going to generate consistent free traffic over time. Now, to address the elephant in the room, we know that AI, ChatGPT, is a growing category for this. Not just ChatGPT, but Google's own Search GPT. So as we're starting to see more AI-driven summarized responses, there's different ways that we can adapt and change to that. Again, this is my depth of experience. This is one of the things I nerd out about. I would love to talk with you for hours about how we can adapt to ChatGPT and that takeover, but find me after. What it does though, whether you're showing up in their AI summary or their Google result, it's building a high credibility of trust. So we know that users are more likely to trust organic search results than paid ads. If you've ever skipped over on purpose a little ad on Google, you fall into that camp as well. And then the long-term cost effectiveness. So SEO is a long game. I think any SEO agency will tell you that you can wait 3 to 6 months for results, sometimes longer for more competitive keywords. But while this takes time to build, once you're ranking, it does provide that ongoing traffic and it lowers that cost for acquisition. And then we look at paid search, right? You turn the spigot on, the traffic starts coming, your ads appear right away, and you can start to generate leads right away. You can be highly targeted. You can target just those specific keywords. So if you have a business that has 5 different business units and you really are focused on growing and investing in one, we don't need to market the whole business. We can really be laser focused in a specific area. And this can be from a timeliness perspective too. For example, if you're an HVAC contractor, we know that there's a heating season and a cooling season. And so we can turn off ads for heating in the middle of July, and we can turn on those heating ads, well, I think now it's probably December. And then you have full control over the budget and performance. So a great problem to have is that you've got too many leads to manage. You've got too much business. It's coming out of your ears. We got to turn these ads off. We got to stop the investment. You can do that day one and let your sales team catch up. The truth is that SEO and PPC are better together, and it's one thing I preach as we have conversations with clients and friends that I talk to SEO and PPC about. I have 2 of those. We know that they're better together. We want to dominate that whole canvas. So by running Google ads and investing in SEO, you can increase your chances of appearing multiple times on page 1. So I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm searching for something and I see it as an ad, the next 3rd or 4th result that I see, if they're the same website or the same brand, all of a sudden my trust is solidified. So that's going to make the brand not only more visible, but build that trustworthiness for you as well. This is the key to unlocking short-term and long-term growth. So you can drive immediate leads right away with Google Ads and then let SEO build upon that. And oftentimes what we can do is use that information to inform our investment in SEO. So we can start to test out keywords and key service areas right away with paid search. And as we see those results start to filter in, okay, our users, is this the right area? Are we competitive here? The users that we're driving for a fee, are they converting? If they are converting, how much are they converting for? Is it insanely expensive? Let's double down on SEO investment and start to reduce our dependency on those paid terms. So it allows you to move the needle while still owning the market share, from the impression share. So social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snap, X, these social media, these consumer-focused social media platforms are great for local, regional B2B companies, service providers, a lot of B2C. We know that buyers are likely to find you first on social. It's where that credibility, culture, and those case studies can start to come to life. This is more true in B2C, but can be true in the B2B world as well. We know that Facebook and Instagram ads targeting those geographies and job titles can be very impactful. Instagram Reels to really show and highlight your culture. Someone told me in a sales meeting once that they were going to work with me. It was the first 15 minutes. They said, "We're going to work with you because we think we would like working with you." And in the B2B decision-making space, by highlighting that personality of your business, you can start to set that stage moving forward. YouTube shorts and explainers, so understanding those common pain points or those common challenges, and you can answer those questions quickly. And then sharing those client testimonials or quick wins that speak to their pain points and the outcomes that you can deliver. LinkedIn's great for B2B professional service businesses. It's the top platform for B2B buyers. What's really great there is you can start to build and establish your trustworthiness as an authority on the topic. You can run LinkedIn ads. You can target, everything we've built in that persona is a targeting area. So we can target by job title, company size, industry, revenue. We can really get laser focused on the exact buyers and take an account-based approach. We can even take lists of companies and target your top 300 prospects, and we can exclude or include just those buying and decision makers. We can segment your messaging based on their title. So if we're talking to a finance person, a CFO, we can talk about your price efficiencies, and we can talk about the impact that you have on the bottom line. If we're talking to a CMO, we can talk about helping them hit their metrics and helping them hit their goals. So we can test and segment that messaging quite effectively. And then email marketing, this is great for client retention, nurturing your existing relationships. We know that a great majority of B2B purchases are influenced by word of mouth. Email's the direct connection to your existing customers and your likely champions and evangelists. So how we can do that: quarterly email updates, just share those wins, share those insights and case studies. You can leverage thought leadership content as well. Automated drip campaigns to re-engage your customers. So if you have a tight CRM setup, you can start to look at customers that haven't engaged with you in X amount of time and start to re-engage and put them into funnels there. That might just be sharing soft sells type things. And then personalized check-ins if there's key life cycle stages. So if you've built out, again, a tight CRM flow, you can look at what stage in the purchase journey are they at, what have they been moved forward in, and then we can trigger those emails to drop very in a timely manner. And then trade show, industry events, similar to this. We know that there's a high consideration when it comes to large purchases specifically in the B2B space. Meeting face-to-face accelerates that credibility and can shorten that life cycle. No matter what you're doing when you're selecting a channel, I take a test, scale, and automate approach. So what that means is test small, put small budgets into things and measure that ROI. We don't want to go too small. We want to have a viable budget, but we don't want to throw the whole budget in right away always. So I recommend to experiment with small budget campaigns before we commit to large dollars and track those acquisition costs. So scale what works. So understanding your goals and what those acquisition costs are, take what's working and invest more in that channel. If the lead quality is bad on one channel, move it to another where the lead quality is better. And there's going to be a lot of different things that you have to balance there. Maybe the lead quality is great, but it's $50 to $100 per lead. Maybe the lead quality is bad, but you're getting a dollar per lead. So look at the economies and the financials around that and make smart decisions based on business outcomes. And then automate and optimize. So take what's working and improve on that. Can we drive the cost per click down with stronger creative? Can we improve the conversion rates by improving the landing page experience? Can we shorten that sales cycle by having more email touch points? So bottom line is every business is going to be different. Newer companies are investing in Google Ads and SEO for high intent visibility fast. Established companies can focus on more brand building and building more credibility and trustworthiness. High ticket sales means longer cycles, so maybe we're focusing more on LinkedIn and thought leadership tactics. Don't rely on one channel. Just like an investment portfolio, it's important to diversify, and the best marketing channels are going to generate revenue. So we can take and work backwards from the click to the bottom line dollar. So how do we spend the money? How much money should we spend? Where should we spend the money? These are all very difficult decisions. First, we'll talk about how much companies are spending. So the big message, average marketing spend across all companies is between 6 and 10%, depending on what study you're looking at. What we're seeing from 23 and 24 is that marketing investments are bouncing back from the 2020 era. That's different across all spectrums though. B2B businesses are spending on average between 3 to 5% of their annual revenue. New companies are spending 10 to 15%. They're spending more on average. And this is for two reasons. One, market penetration. They need to make that big splash. They're an unknown in the space. Two, their revenues might be a little bit smaller. So the marketing spend may be a larger chunk of that to start. So whenever we're spending money, we have to ask ourselves, does it generate high quality leads? Am I over invested? Am I over leveraged in one area? Can it scale? Can it grow with me? And can I do this in-house or outsource to an agency? So that's a very big question for a lot of people, and we see a lot of shifts from in-house to agency work and back and forth over the years and over time. So a couple age-old questions to ask yourself when making that decision is, do you have a dedicated team? Do they have the expertise in that channel or that space? Do they need the expertise in that channel or that space? Do you need full control? Do you need to have up to the minute changes and adaptability? And then do you, whether you're the owner or the marketing leader, do you have the budget to build and train an internal team in these different spaces, right? So when you're looking and considering agencies, do you need specialized expertise? Is it something that you can't do better yourself, right? So whether that's photo, video, if you're creating broadcast commercials, you may not have a team that's able to, you may not have the equipment, you may not have the team that's skilled in that. Same with SEO and PPC. What level of investment do you have? And this might call back to the channel selection. Start small, allocate a small amount of resources, a small amount of budget, and scale as you see success. So how can we really amp that up or add fuel to the fire? And if you don't have enough demand for an internal resource, that's a great way to have a fractional team member or an agency support you. So marketing budgets, again, need to be tied back to revenue goals. We should balance short-term ROI with the long-term vision, and then test those different strategies. Tracking and measuring everything is paramount, because if you're not tracking this and seeing the increase in the impact on your bottom line, you're not going to be able to adapt intelligently. Speaking of how do we measure success? So there's a large table here. There's a couple things that we can track here, and I'll walk through what it measures and why it matters. So website traffic, we can look at all sources, and then we can look at website traffic from a specific channel. That's going to indicate the brand awareness, and traffic from each channel is going to measure a few different things as well. So organic traffic, how are you showing up in SEO? Direct traffic, well, how's your brand awareness in the area? And then you can look at different metrics depending on the channels that you're using from a paid perspective as well. Conversion rates, so the percentage of people, the percentage of your visitors that are taking a desired action, that's going to indicate your campaign performance, but it's also going to speak to your website user experience. Are you doing a good job of informing and flowing and nurturing through that stage to the conversion point? Are your call to actions clear enough? Cost per lead, so this is really a great opportunity to measure your efficacy by channel. Are you, as the money that you're spending, Is the cost per lead maintainable for your business? Sometimes you may need to spend more in a cost per lead than you're comfortable with to build that business area up. So it's not always is it a $10 or a $20 cost per lead bottom line? And then your close rate, right? So leads are great. How are we closing? I can send you $20 leads all day, and if you don't close a single one of them, it's not a very great performance. So that's really going to help validate that you're targeting the right people and that the performance is overall good. And then looking at all of your paid channels, looking at all of your paid ad spend, and determining if those campaigns are profitable is a return on ad spend. So it's specifically revenue from those paid ads divided by ad spend. There's a lot of nuance to that. Are we looking at first touch, last touch attribution? Again, that's another rabbit hole to go down. Sorry, everyone. And then lifetime customer value. This is, as you engage with any marketing professional, marketing agency, it's the first thing they're going to ask you, and you should know this. What's the lifetime value of your customer? The average revenue of that customer based on the lifetime. So if you're a recurring service, right, how much is the value of that service and how long typically are your customers engaged with you? If it's a single time purchase, what is the average order size? Do you have additional products or services, maintenance maybe, that can be recurring revenue? So that's really going to help you justify the investment and help you work backwards from that acquisition cost to profitability. So different way revenue of that customer based on the lifetime. So if you're a recurring service, right, how much is the value of that service and how long typically are your customers engaged with you? If it's a single time purchase, what is the average order size? Do you have additional products or services, maintenance maybe, that can be recurring revenue? So that's really going to help you justify the investment and help you work backwards from that acquisition cost to profitability. So different ways we can track this. Google Analytics is free. It's easy to implement, and it's going to give you all the knowledge on your website traffic, user behavior, and total overall website performance. The Google Ads dashboard is also going to give you a lot of information specifically to those paid search campaigns. Microsoft Ads, any ad platform is going to have a number of different metrics to be able to track there. If you're running multiple channels, it may be worth the investment to consolidate this into a single reporting tool, especially if you're reporting this information to a senior leader or frankly anyone else. We want to be able to distill this information down so it's quickly and easily digestible, and frankly for yourself as well, so that you can make these decisions faster and easier. CRM, especially if you're a B2B company, it's really important to understand where those leads are coming from and how they're moving through the sales funnels. It's probably going to be one of your most challenging things to get salespeople to strictly put that information in, but it's very important. How are the leads that we're getting from Facebook converting? If they're not converting, it doesn't matter how many leads we're getting. We need to either divest or improve the targeting on that. Audience identification, so there's a lot of different platforms now that can start to identify businesses that are visiting your website, sometimes down to the visitor level. It's something like a 20 to 30% hit rate on those, so it's not a perfect science, but a lot of times it's a great tool to have in your arsenal. Call tracking, if you're a phone-based company, it's great to connect those phone calls to actual channels. And then Google Search Console is a great way to get a better understanding of the overall performance of your website, how the user experience is, how your mobile speed is, your page speed performance, and your organic landing page visibility. And then just a brief touch on the different channels and different metrics here. So from an SEO and organic search perspective, metrics that you can track, keyword rankings, of course, but what's happening from those keyword rankings? Is there organic traffic coming in? Where is that organic traffic landing? How is it converting? Google and paid campaigns, very similarly, what's the cost per click? How much are you paying for these visitors? Are they bouncing right away? So are they getting to your website and engaging? And then what is the conversion rate? What is the return on ad spend? Organic social media, again, likes are nice, but we need to tie that to business goals. Are we getting referral traffic? Is that referral traffic converting? Email marketing, open rates, click-through rates, conversion rates. How is the user seeing the subject line, opening the email, following that email to your website, and are they converting there? Are they getting set into a funnel? What are the next steps they take from there? And then trade show events, as your salespeople are engaging at events like this, and they're being put into your CRM, what's happening from there? Are they getting moved from that awareness, that first conversation, to maybe a demo? Are they moving from a demo to a free trial? That's software as a service language, but what does that look like? How are they getting moved through? And ultimately, are they converting? Are they buying? Trade shows are great for large ticket items because that number is a lot easier to justify. And then optimize and improve. So here's some red flags, right? You've got a lot of website traffic, they're not converting. Experiment then with your landing page call to actions, add some trust signals in there, change those trust signals, analyze your traffic source data and understand what the quality of that traffic is. I mentioned this a couple times, right? We've got a lot of leads, bad sales quality. Maybe we're not targeting the right people. We need to get some people out of there. How can we refine that audience and pre-qualify that traffic? So how can we take that marketing messaging and say, hey, maybe you're not a right fit. This is why. Maybe your Google ads are really expensive and you don't have a lot of ROI on there. Do we need to improve our keyword targeting? Should we invest more in SEO? Your email's not opening highly. Let's test those subject lines. Let's test that audience segmentation. So again, if you've got a tight CRM, how can we break those segments out and tailor that messaging to your audience a little bit better? And are your social media ads not converting? Let's test that targeting. Let's test those platforms. Let's test the messaging that we're sending to them. So we know that conversion is the ultimate goal. The journey there is a winding path and many touch points. Your goals individually might be very specific and more granular, but how can we tell that story? How can we flow that back to the bottom line? We know that not all leads are equal, so we should have insights around the lead quality, the sales journey, the sales cycle time. And the most important thing is review and adjust regularly. We want to strike a balance between getting enough data and being agile. So maybe that's monthly check-ins on specific metrics. Maybe it's quarterly check-ins on larger strategy and annual large strategic platform level decision making. The frequency that you measure your results has a direct relationship to the improvement and the overall performance. So just some quick insights on each of these foundational areas. When it comes to identifying your goals, consider the SMART objective framework and tie all of that back to business growth and business goals. From an audience perspective, the better you understand your ideal customer, the more effectively you can market to them, speak to their problems, and speak to how you solve them and how you solve them better than anyone else. We know that the competitive analysis, winning in marketing isn't always spending the most dollars. We need to be agile in today's marketplace, and it's about understanding where your competitors are falling short and positioning yourself as the best alternative. From a storytelling and key messaging perspective, if you don't define what makes you unique, your customers and the market is going to decide for you. It's important that you own that message and you make it impossible to ignore. And it's not about spreading that message everywhere. It's about being where your best customers are and delivering the right message at the right time. From a budget standpoint, a great marketing strategy balances short-term and long-term investments. It's important to track that performance and adjust that budget regularly based on real data and not just feel. And measuring success, again, it's not about traffic, it's not about clicks, it's all about conversion and revenue. The traffic and the clicks are the vehicle to get us there. So track what matters and optimize what's not working. Awesome. So I've got a few minutes here for questions. I know we covered a lot, so yes?
On your website slide, you talked about ranking and where do you see that? How can you see that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I called out SEMrush is a great tool. There are a number of tools out there that will aggregate that. So what's really important, the question was, talking about keyword ranking, where can we find that? Something really, really important to know is that your search result is very specific to you. So if you spend a lot of time looking for a lawn mowing company and you always click on your lawn mowing company, you're going to show up higher. And there's a lot of nuance around that, and this is an area where I could go on for days, but it's really, really good to get an outside perspective. So the easiest thing you can do if you don't want to try a new tool is go into incognito mode. So whether you're on browser, Firefox, Chrome, or Internet Safari, you can turn on a private browsing mode that will clear all of your cache and cookies, all of your prior searches. That's a good way to start to get a more holistic view of where you're ranking. But SEMrush is a great place where you can drop your domain, drop your URL in, and identify the keywords that are important to you, and it will show you where you show up on a global or national scale, and it will also be able to show you where you show up from I'm searching from Brookfield, Wisconsin view. There are also platforms that will give you a beautiful grid, so if you're like a coffee company in Brookfield, right next to Brookfield Square, we're the square, right? Not the corners. Anyway, you can see how you show up as somebody searching for coffee from the convention center versus how you show up if you're from the Marcus Majestic Theater. Does that help? Fantastic. Any other questions? Yes?
Smaller companies a lot of times haven't started working with KPIs or
Mm-hmm.
any of those sort of metrics. If you had to choose, is there a hierarchy of things that they should start with to start tracking this, or is it just sort of like give people as many as possible?
No, I would keep it as simple as possible. You want to eat the elephant one bite at a time. If the tactic and the strategy is to drive traffic to your website, how much traffic is coming? So what's the overall traffic and how is it converting? That's the two number one things the number one and the number two thing that I would focus on. So everything else, like how much time are they spending on the page? Are they bouncing? That's great from a user experience perspective, but let's just focus on how many people are we getting here and are they converting? What is that conversion? Yeah? Yes.
Advice for optimizing your website?
There's a lot of really great research out there on the actual vernacular that people are using. So are they looking for the best handyman or are they looking for the best general contractor? And what how are these words being put together? What I would say is, especially as you're starting to grow that journey, look at it from a broader perspective, because you'll be able to spend days agonizing over the exact words to use. My second piece of advice there is don't stop at the website. If you're optimizing for search, it's important to have those credible resources. So I always think about this of like, if I'm in high school and I'm meeting new people, I can say a lot of really great things about myself, and I can tell you that I'm a great athlete and smart and funny and a great musician. And but if I have friends that are also telling you that, like maybe the guidance counselor, my good friend, or the gym teacher, or the star quarterback is telling you, those are trust signals that are going to improve that. So online PR is that way to unlock from a larger scale the SEO and frankly just the search overall, whether that's AI search or Google or Bing. Yeah.
Quick follow-up. Do you have any recommended sources for that research you cited about customer resources?
Yeah, on like just how to target large language modeling. Rand Fishkin he started Moz, which is like the SEO geeks Bible from a long ago. He's moved into more holistic content. So he's a really great resource. Follow him on LinkedIn. There's also Robert Rose, James Polizzi, Joe Polizzi, sorry. These are great people as well. And I'd love to link you on LinkedIn to those people. So, yeah. Any other questions today? All right. Well, thank you all for your time. I appreciate it. If you have any other questions, you can find me on LinkedIn. And I'm here for the foreseeable future. Have a great lunch, everyone.